You cannot pay me to play a Game Boy Advance game. That's not true. You could definitely pay me to do it, but I wouldn't do it for free.
Welcome to RPG Book Club, the podcast where we play a little bit of a video game and talk about how it makes us feel. I am Sam Allman.
I am Elias Sailor Eli Warren.
And I'm Maddy Grace Webbin.
And today we will be discussing part 4 of Chrono Cross, which covers everything up until Harle leaves the party forever. More specifically, because we don't actually realize that unless we happen to check our menu.
I didn't realize that. Thanks. Great.
I didn't realize that.
I knew she disappeared, like she vanished into the ether, but I didn't think that she was leaving me.
No,
she's
gone.
Great.
She gone,
I didn't
folks.
unequip all her shit.
Oh, you're fine.
It automatically does it.
Okay,
You're okay.
good. Because I want that stuff. Like, I mean, I liked Harle. I used her for a while, but I'm more concerned with her things.
Yeah, I min-max too much, and you can't have two black-aligned people in a world where they make you fight Garai and Miguel in the same fucking week. So I almost never used her, so I got weird bastard versions of all the plot scenes.
I love her, and I had her in my party for a while because she's like she's like the kid of this section of the game. She's like your main buddy. Mm-hmm. But for the same reason as Sam, also you get so many new characters. I kept getting excited about them, so I was just like, you know what, Harle, you're done. Sorry, I got fucking Starkey. Okay,
Starkey.
Like someone's got to go back to the bench.
Yeah, but more specifically, we are going until we get to the Pearly Gates, which is where Harle asks us a personal question, and then she leaves our party forever.
Yep.
But before we get to all of that good stuff, how was everybody's week?
So I had several things. One, bullshit drama happened.
Yep.
It came to a head, and now I believe the drama is essentially over. Essentially. Because, like...
It imploded?
Yeah, it imploded, and, like, I'm still sort of talking to someone, like, who was, like, not... I don't know. I can't explain it without it being a really, like, awkward and long explanation, but
yeah,
it's mostly over. Unfortunately, it meant, like, I basically am no longer talking to any of the people who are involved.
That sucks.
Yeah, it really sucks.
I hate that.
I don't know these people, but fuck them, and they're now my mortal enemies. Unless y'all make up, and then they'll stop being my mortal enemies. And then I like them again.
Knowing these people, it's highly unlikely that any making up will happen. They would have to approach me because I'm the type of person that when someone has hurt me or I feel that, like, I am unwelcome around people, I avoid them forever.
Yep.
And they'd have to come to me, and they're not going to do that. They're not those kind of people. So,
yeah, it blows.
It does. Our peers are super dramatic, and but you know, I like every other RP that I've had in Final Fantasy has been pretty positive. So, like, I'm just getting to the point where, like, I still need time to heal, but I will be looking for more people to RP with, essentially.
Nice.
Who are much more chill and understanding. So, here's hoping that the people in that group don't listen to this podcast. I don't think they do. I'm reasonably certain that they don't. But if
I hope they do, so that they'll hear that I'm their mortal enemy now.
Some of them I would be okay with hearing that, but yeah, it's been a very, very trying time for me. And I love RPing. I've been RPing since I was 12 fucking years old. And I mean, I guess you could say I've been doing it longer because, you know, when you're a little kid and playing pretend, you're essentially RPing. Like, RP is just like sophisticated adult version of pretend. And not even that sophisticated in a lot of cases.
I was about to say something. I was like, is it? No.
No, it's really not. You're right. My character, Kaito, has frequently performed in front of crowds singing about his dick, so real sophisticated.
I was about to say one difference is that from what I've heard, depending on who you know what group you're with, I do know that RP is certainly sometimes more sexual than children's pretending.
Yes.
There's one difference.
Thankfully, with the main RP friend that I have, we're not lacking in sexy times. So. God, I hope my parents aren't listening to this. I know they're not, but I also really hope they never do.
Hi, Eli's parents.
Yeah. Hi, Mom and Dad. Aren't you proud of me? I erp in my spare time. So aside from that, I've had other drama happen that is entirely unrelated to Final Fantasy. This is real life drama, and it is because I am trans. And the reason that I'm having this drama because I'm trans is because testosterone, as it turns out, can cause you to create too much blood. So
what the fuck?
Yeah, you can.
That's not good. You should have less blood.
You're right. I should. I'll get to work on that.
This is an anti-blood podcast.
I am trying that. So the thing is, it can cause an excess production of hemoglobin. To combat this, typically the way that you treat it is by donating blood. The last time I donated blood, the first time I donated blood, I just got misgendered the whole time. Because when you're trans, you don't fit, when you donate blood, if you don't know about this, and I'm sorry, this is going to be a bit of a long explanation. When you donate blood, if you don't know about this, they ask you a series of screening questions to make sure that you're healthy, your blood is safe, you don't have HIV or anything like that you're not high risk for things like hepatitis. So they ask you a bunch of screening questions, and the screening questions are ultra gendered. They are there's separate sets of questions for men and there's separate sets of questions for women. When you are trans, you don't fit real neatly into those two categories. So the first times I gave blood after I transitioned, I was misgendered the entire time because even though I presented male, they still had to ask me the female questions. And when they had to contact their supervisor to ask about which set of questions they should ask me. And they spent the entire time misgendering me. And I'm I tried correcting them and they're no, we just have to do this. This is protocol, blah, blah, blah. And I'm this is bullshit is what it is.
Yeah, you can ask me things about my vagina without calling me ma'am.
Yeah, exactly. You don't need to use she, her. I'm a dude with a pussy. It's not that difficult a concept. Again, hello, Mom and Dad. Aren't you proud of me? The last time I gave blood, I talked to them about it and was every other time they've asked me the female questions. I'm a man. I'm a transgender man, but I understand that I need to have the female set of questions asked. And they said, oh no, actually, we've changed our policy to ask the questions that are based on the gender that you that you identify as. And I immediately went, that's a problem, because another question that men get asked, or one of the questions that men get asked is, have you had sex with another man since 1977? Well, that was the old question. The new question is, have you had sex with another man in the last year? If you are a bisexual or gay man, you have to have been celibate or at least not intimate with another man in a year in order to give blood.
Yeah, it's fucking wild.
Mm-hmm.
It is absolute bullshit, because they screen the blood anyway after you give it to make sure that it's not HIV positive.
Mm-hmm.
It's a stupid bullshit homophobic rule left over from the AIDS crisis. And I said, if, I've got this blood donation appointment. If you ask me these male questions, I'm married to a man. Well, I wasn't married at that time, but I was like, I have a boyfriend, I have a fiance who is a man. I'm not going to be able to donate blood. And they were like, oh, well, then we'll ask you the female questions this time. But, going forward, you're probably going to get asked the male questions. I'm like, well, I guess I can't donate blood anymore. So fucking thanks. Even though I've had the same sexual partner for the last 11 years.
That's so crazy.
And he has never been with another man. It doesn't matter. It's absolute bullshit. And so I've had this talk with my doctor about what a fucking nightmare it is for me to donate blood, and how much I wish that I could donate blood and not have it be a huge fucking to-do. And I mean, I wish I knew how to advocate for changes for this sort of thing, because this is something that has been bothering me for a long time. Even before I started donating blood, I knew about the stupid homophobic rule, but I mean, it affects me even more closely now. So I have too much blood. My therapist has instead prescribed therapeutic phlebotomy, which means they're going to just take blood out of my body and get rid of it. Which
so crazy that they won't just take your blood because they're homophobic.
Yep.
Makes me so mad. It's like, oh, this life-saving substance that could literally save someone in a heart transplant? Yeah. Well, we don't need it. Throw it away just because gay people are icky.
Yeah, pretty much.
Hate it.
The problem that I've had with this is that I called We Are Blood, got their voicemail, left a voicemail with them and said, hey, I need to set up an appointment. They called me back on a number that I did not have in my phone, and my phone automatically rejects unknown numbers. So I got a voicemail from them. They told me to call a different number. I called this different number and left a voicemail for this other woman. She did not get back to me until today, and she called me from a fourth different number. And so my phone rejected it. And when I called her on the number that she gave me that was different from the number that she called me from, I got her voicemail, and she has not called me back. And I'm about ready to fucking scream. Anyway, yesterday was my 1-year anniversary, and it was great. We went and saw Bill and Ted. Highly recommend.
So good.
It was so fucking
You went to see it?
Yes. Yeah, we went to the Alamo Draft House.
How was theater in the times of COVID?
Okay, so I've talked so much. This is
that's fine.
The most Eli heavy episode
I've done nothing this week, so you're good. I cede my time.
So the Alamo Draft House is open. They have buffer seats, so you can Ken and I got to sit next to each other, but they had at least 1 or 2 seats between anyone else who was in the theater. So seating is certainly more scarce. And we had to order all of our food ahead of time. So like when we were getting the tickets, we like all of our drinks and everything, like unless we were getting drinks that included refills like soda. So alcohol, we had to order that all ahead of time. Wore our masks into the theater. They took our temperature right at the front. Like they've got that little shooty thing that they point at your forehead and they can take your temperature that way. The thermometer gun. So we went in and they had a whole bunch of stuff like at the pre-show where they talked about, you know, the different measures they're taking. Like they do a deep cleaning between every showing. And I mean, of course, we could take off our masks to eat and drink, but it was a very, very different environment than pre-COVID. But I'm glad that they are able to stay open, and that they're taking really careful safety measures. But Ken's the one who really loves going out to movie theaters. I'm much more I wanted to stay at home and watch a movie, but he really wanted to go out, so we went out.
Yeah. Yeah, I just was curious on how, like, safe or not safe it felt.
It felt safe. Like, I did not feel like there was any chance that we were going to get sick from it.
That makes sense coming from Alamo. I mean, they're not AMC.
Yeah. But, yeah, I don't remember what happened on my week. Moon came out. Everyone should go play Moon. Eli especially should play Moon. I hear it's really hard, so maybe don't play Moon. But it's it's the game that made Toby Fox want to make Undertale. So it is.
Okay.
Yeah.
It was a Japanese only like anti-RPG from the PlayStation era, and Tim Rogers, our boy, is the localizer on it.
Yeah.
And
what platform is it out on?
Switch.
Oh, okay.
Yep. Usually a PS1 game.
But yeah, it's real good. Matt says it's real hard, so do with that what you will. But it's great, and everyone should play it. But
I'm really excited. I was looking at my budget today, and my budget for actually spending money on things for myself is currently still in the negative on account of when I had to buy a whole new PlayStation. But it will be back. Basically, I'll be able to buy Moon, I think, next month, and still it be without like going against my budget that I'm trying to strictly stick to. So I'm very excited to play it probably next month.
Yeah,
nice.
I will probably play it sometime this month of September because September started today.
It's September now.
So yeah, I am really looking forward to it because when I first heard about it, like several years ago, it was one of the like top requested fan translations, and every person that ever tried it was like, it's impossible to translate this game. It's just so Japanese. And Tim Rogers said, "Hold my beer."
Well, also
So,
apparently it's got a lot of puzzles, and a lot of the puzzles use like verbal clues that are often like extremely obscure. So it's like it's not even just like a plot thing; it's like a playability thing, right? It's like how do we fucking translate this so that you can actually play it? But everyone's saying that our boy did a great job. So
yeah, excited to play that. That's the only thing that's happened in my life. But let's
hold on. I said I see my time, but I do want to yell about three things because the people want to know. One. Seriously, Bill and Ted, so good. I'm not going to holler about why, but it was great.
Yeah.
I think that I don't want to play the whole, like, is it as good as the first two or whatever? Like, probably. But regardless of where it ends up, like, I think in 10 years, it's going to be considered a family classic. Like, I think it's going to be a beloved classic of family films.
My very informed opinion as someone who watched the original Bill and Ted for the first time several months ago is that it is better than the original.
Yeah, it's It's fucking good. And then the second thing is that just today, Joe Kennedy III just got fucking owned in a Senate race, which makes me really happy. And the third thing is that I finally fucking did it. I finally started playing Final Fantasy XIV. I got beaten down, and I finally did it. And the worst part is, literally before I even got to control my character, I was like literally in the opening like cutscene where you're literally just like on, in my case, on a horse and carriage or chocobo and carriage going to the town, like, and there's just dialogue. Like before that scene was even over, I was like, oh fuck, this is fucking great. God damn it, this is so good.
Yes!
I could already tell. The writing, the aesthetics, the music, it's just a very, very, very beautifully put together game. I started playing it on, and also I was like really depressed last week. I was kind of in a bit of a spiral. So, like, I played it so much. I played it so fucking much. And
that's the bad part of the game.
Yeah, seriously. And I'm not even in the good part yet. And no, I love it. I think it's a great game. I had to give my PlayStation 4 back to my friend because she's been borrowing it from me lately because she wants to play a bunch of PS4 games, which is like, I love to let my friends play games. Because she's like not really much of a gamer. But like when I had to give it back to her last Friday, the rest of Friday, I was like, I want to play it. I still want to play it. It's all I'm thinking about. It's a fantastic video game. In case my experience with the game is, I blasted through the opening town's quest arc. Not blasted through, I did lots of side quests, but the point is, I probably played over 10, 15 hours, right? And I eventually get to Lancer level 18, and then I get past the opening arc and unlock the other towns, and I discover fishing, and I have not done a story quest since then.
Are you serious?
I am now still a level 18 Lancer, and I am a level 28 Fisher. Though to be fair, I did gain 7 levels on the ocean fishing trip, which is amazing.
Oh, the ocean fishing is really cool. They added it very recently.
Yeah, I heard. Yeah. Also, when the fucking like spectral current showed up and they played the battle music from Final Fantasy III, I was like, "Oh, this rules! I love this video game. This is a great video game."
It's really fucking dramatic.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm not going to go in more about it, but since I know y'all have been fucking egging me to play this game for ages, I finally have, so I thought y'all should fucking know that I'm obsessed with this stupid game.
Once I get my PS4
race are
back, you?
I am I broke the sacred trans girl code and am not playing as a Miquote. Not playing as a cat girl. I'm playing as the big ones, the big girls.
Oh, the Rogadin?
Yeah, I like them a lot. They're really fun. I like my gal. She's tight. So I'm just like a big, not too burly actually, because I was doing the self-insert thing.
They have a muscle slider, so
I turned it down. The thing is, the Rogadin, even the female Rogadin, look kind of mannish. So it's like, this actually works as a self-insert, as me as a tran, right? Like, kind of makes sense. So anyway, I really like being a sort of on the small side, but definitely bigger than everyone else in the game.
I'm a basic tran. My first character was a Miquote.
Oh, they're great.
So is mine. Do I need to talk to my therapist? Am I a tran?
Yeah, Miquote is trans culture. But yeah, and I'm playing on Fairy, which apparently is like the gay server. And nice. I was in the main town, and I was like, people say it's like the queer server, but like, how much is that just an exaggeration? And then I get to the main town, and literally these two people were just doing head pats at each other in the chat for like 5 straight minutes, and I was like, okay,
you're in the gay side of Final Fantasy.
This is the gay server. Anyway, I'm probably not going to be playing with people too much. I play games very slowly, as y'all know. I love to just gawk at graphics and really take my time, and I don't even mean take my time as in like you have to quest. I mean like take my time in every single respect, right? Like, I'm always like, oh, what's that? Mm-hmm. Oh, what's that? And also I'm always like, I'm not sure, like, oh, what if I'm doing it wrong? Or what if I should change my equipment? And right now, I feel like if I was playing with other people, I'd probably be like making them wait on me every 5 seconds. So I'm just going to take my time and enjoy it by myself, except for like the instance dungeons, which I've done 2 of, and they're really fun. But even then I kept falling behind. But I'm not like against on multiplayer play, but like for now I'm probably just going to be chilling by myself. But at some point I'd love to play with people. So that went on longer than I expected, probably because it's a great game and I have a lot of feelings about it. Anyway,
it's so fucking good. We need to talk about it more at some point.
Got it.
Yes,
it's so good.
But for now, let's listen to Prisoners of Fate from the Chrono Cross original soundtrack and then talk about this week.
Nice.
So, when we last left our heroes, they had been turned away from Death's Door, and they needed to get the Ironhander to beat up the Massamune so they could get into the Dead Sea. So, we follow Radius to the Hermit's Hideaway, where he recovers an item that he needs to progress, that we need to progress into the Isle of the Damned. We also get some flashbacks to Radius and Garai training and being friends. They are very much a reference to Glenn and Cyrus, if Cyrus was a huge hulking giant of a man in Stormwind heavy plate armor.
And even though it's the past, Garai is still an old guy,
but he has hair.
I find very funny.
But he has hair this time, so it makes up for it. That's how you know it's in the past, is that he has hair.
Yes. Makes sense.
I didn't even notice he was so small on the screen. I didn't even notice that. I was just like, is this the exact same model? Is he like... He's one of those guys where he's so old that
he's always
even in the flashback,
old.
He's still old.
Yeah.
You know?
like Yoda, where it's like, oh, this is 30 years ago, but Yoda's still old.
Yeah.
But, Radius and Garai make their way to some cavern where the Massamune is supposed to be, and Garai says, no, Radius, don't, and Radius does. So he grabs it and does like an evil laugh, and he doesn't tell us that he killed Garai here, but it's real obvious. So when the dramatic reveal happens later, it's not very dramatic. But so Radius disappears into his hut in another Chrono Trigger reference where an NPC does something on a timer and you just have to fuck around until they come back. But it was a lot cooler in Chrono Trigger. So he comes back with Garai's mirror, which we use in the Isle of the Damned to walk through mirrors, which lets us solve the Lost Woods puzzle there. That's basically it about the dungeon. At the top of the Isle of the Damned, there's somehow a field of like endless flowers and a kick-ass sword grave like up on a mountain, and it's real cool and real pretty. If you go up to inspect the grave, it's ours. It says, here lies Lynx and whatever people you happen to have in your party at the time. And if you don't have Radius in your party, it'll be here lies Lynx and party member 1 and party member 2 and Radius. So that's cool. So Radius flashes back to when they got the sword and the evil energy overtook him and made him kill Garai. And Garai's ghost then shows up to bitch slap us repeatedly. I had to run like 4 times to beat this boss, and I had to actually like plan out my element usage in a meaningful way instead of just like, oh shit, I just used 2 blue ones. If I could use another blue one, it'll be really strong. Or this guy is black and he's filled up the black one, so I need to use some white to not get my ass kicked. It's like, no. He gets a lot of turns and uses a lot of elements, so I need to make sure that I only heal if I have if I have a lot of stamina, so that I can then fill up the grid.
That are known by the general fan community as being super hard, besides just this guy. I mean, your mileage may vary, of course, with other bosses, but this is the Waymo boss of the game. And I remembered him being the Waymo from previous playthroughs. Weirdly enough, I got on my first try this time. Must have just been something about my element setup or my stats or something. But it was tough, but it was nice, and I was pleased that happened because I was really scared.
I had to run away from Garai 3 times before I finally got it. It was fucking brutal for me.
Yeah, it was rough. And it's weird because this game doesn't have levels. We haven't talked about that yet, but you don't level up in this game. When you beat a story boss, you get a star level, which will increase your element grid size and give you a bonus to your base stats. But that's it. You don't actually grind. You
get some HP after.
Well, you get stats after every battle until you hit your invisible cap, which is determined by your star level.
Yeah.
So if you stop getting stats, if you stop getting stat ups, then you can just skip battles until you get another star. And then you got to make sure you grind a little bit. Or I kept forgetting Bernard in the stream kept being like, Maddy, you got a new star. Please, for the love of God, fight battles. And I was like, oh yeah, you're right. I should do that.
So it's basically not possible to out-level shit, which as someone who would prefer to, if I have the time, grind out levels and out-level shit, really pisses me off.
Yeah. But, in Chrono Trigger, there are 6 mobs in this dungeon. If you go down the critical path, you will fight 4 of them. So, 4 fights is 1,000 EXP. That's 2 levels. So we can make the boss 2 levels higher. They have that, but explicitly here because it's tied to only story bosses. So they should have been able to make this not crazy goddamn hard for no good reason. But it's crazy goddamn hard for no good reason, and it sticks out.
Thankfully,
in a way,
that was the only hard fight that I encountered this week. When I was going through don't use the IGN guide.
Yeah,
just gonna say that now because I've been using it and it's fucking garbage. I've used IGN guides in the past that were fine. This one is crap. Even the sentence structure and the grammar is garbage. It was telling me later bosses oh, this guy's really hard, and I was getting really nervous. I'm I'm gonna have to run away a whole bunch again. No, I had no trouble with any of the other bosses this week. Yeah, it was all fucking Garai.
When I was making my way through the LP, they were oh, yeah, Cyborg and Miguel are even harder than Garai. And I'm
no, they're not.
Are they? I don't even remember if I used an element. I think I just kept punching them.
Miguel is bizarrely known as the Waymo boss, but I had no trouble with him.
I had zero problems with him.
I think it's just because you have so many characters, so it's just there's a lot. I guess it's just a lot of variability. I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Also, I was outfitting my character because you actually start getting enough stuff where you can actually engage a little bit with the crafting. So I was making mithril armor and shit like that. I kicked his ass.
Yeah.
Didn't have any problem with him, and I was using the same party for most of the time. I changed up my party for Viper Manor. Because of the characters needed for the story and for their
for the lulz.
Yeah. For their techs. But I like I was using Surge or Lynx, Harle, and Radius for most of the time. And apparently, like, Miguel is supposed to be real hard with his white attacks, but did not really have a problem with that.
Yeah, it was pretty fine. Because the thing about the elements being in pairs instead of in rock, paper, scissors is everything that's really strong against you, you're also really strong at. So if you're faster than they are, you win. So
well, also like
comes onto it as well.
Well, it also depends a lot on your magic versus physical defense, and that's been happening a lot. So it's like Garai he hits you with strong physical techs, so they do benefit from elements, but they're physical. So when he's hitting my magic users, they're getting fucking annihilated, right? So it's like, okay, I have advantage. I have type advantage against him, or I have type against him, but him me. But like he's got stronger magic defense, so like I'm not really getting a lot out of this, but he's kicking my ass. And that's actually that was running theme this week, gameplay wise, was extreme variations in magic versus physical defense from the enemies. So there were a lot of battles where it's like, there were a number of battles where it was just like, I'm just not even going to bother doing magic this battle because I've done like sort of the DPS calculations, and I've determined that it's a waste of time. And vice versa as well. So there was a lot of variation on this week's bosses, and there were a bunch of bosses this week.
Yeah, most of them happen in Viper Manor, and Viper Manor almost doesn't matter, so we're barely going to talk about it later.
Exactly.
But, so we get the sword from Garai, and we head back to Death's Door, and the good sword cancels out the bad sword, and it blows up the bad sword into a million pieces just to rub in all of the shit we went through to forge it in Chrono Trigger. Just like, oh hey, you remember this thing and how it's precious to you? Fuck it, it's in pieces now.
That's gonna be a theme. That's gonna be a theme this week.
Yeah, it is.
Bit of thematic foreshadowing there.
Fuck everything you love.
Yep. So we walk to the Dead Sea, which is frozen, not like ice, but also parts of it is like ice. It's weird.
That's ocean foam. The place is frozen in time.
Yeah, but then it explodes into icy shit in the FMV, and it cracks like it's ice. And also,
I think that's just what shit looks like when it's frozen in time. I don't know. That's
time
that's
does
my read
that
of it.
to water. Yeah,
that's why I said that's why I said it's frozen, not like ice, but also kind of like ice, but mainly the water just doesn't move.
Gotcha.
It's really cool, actually. And building off of Xenogears, because we've talked a lot about how this is a sequel to Chrono Trigger. We need to mention that it's a sequel to Xenogears as well. This place is so huge that it has its own world map inside of the world map, which is real cool. But it also means that this is the only place where there are random battles on the world map. But
no, there aren't. Oh, you mean Sorry, I thought you were saying there were random battles in the world map.
Oh no, not random battles, but there are mobs.
Which is interesting.
Yeah. So the first little landmark we get to is some destroyed highway ruins that look way too futuristic for 1020 AD. And we climb up a little bit, and we fight Johnny? Is that you? No, it's actually Kevin, which is his name in Japanese. His boss's name is literally Kevin.
Wow.
And we fight him. He was hard to Maddy, was pretty easy to me.
This was actually the Whammo boss for me this week. It took me like 3 tries and like significant like equipment changing and strategizing. I don't know why this guy was so hard, but he was.
The reason he was so hard is he uses blind, which...
that's part of the reason why it was so hard, for sure.
Yeah, and then he has spin around in circles and punch the shit out of you move.
Yeah, that one was annoying. I didn't really have any trouble with it, but it was irritating for sure.
Blind is way worse in this game than usual, because most games it's like, oh, they blinded me, well, whatever. Maybe I'll just deal with it, right? But for example, one of my characters was mostly just doing magic, and it's like, oh, they blinded my mage. No big deal. I'll just cast magic on them. Oh, wait, the only way to get grid levels is by hitting them.
Yep. Blind is an extra fuck you in this game.
Blind just completely shuts you down. But yeah, I made use of. I significantly revamped my sphere grid in order to give me the right stuff for it, and then it wasn't too bad.
Yeah. What's funny though is after you beat Kevin, you find out that if we had only been 15 minutes faster, we could have saved Johnny's life, because after you kill him, you realize that he was standing on the literal corpse of Johnny, our friend from Chrono Trigger.
Well,
I did not
remember how we
notice that.
Remember how we said it was going to destroy everything we loved from Chrono Trigger this week?
Yeah.
Wow, I 100% didn't notice that. That's wild.
Yeah, I'll toss the picture of him in, because it's kind of subtle.
Well, you said 15 minutes earlier, but also that implies that time exists.
True. He could have been there for a really long time.
Will already be, was also being dead for 1,000 years from now already.
Yeah. Yeah, there's our boy Johnny's corpse in the host chat. But
what is that on Johnny's head?
So the next landmark that we get to is the city ruins, which has a real big important skippable scene in it. Did you see this scene, Eli? The one about Lavos?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Yes, actually, they talk about in 1999 when the stuff happens in the thing.
It's word for word the computer from the Aerostome. Spoilers, all of the 2300 stuff we see this week is the Aerostome. It's word for word the thing that we see that reveals Lavos and Chrono Trigger, which I think is really cool.
Yeah, but, the game's been teasing it all along, and finally this is connected to Chrono Trigger. Then they're like, what the fuck is this thing? What the fuck is Lavos?
Yeah. And what I think is hilarious is Norris, of all people, knows computers which won't exist for 900 years. And he's just like, oh, I can fix this. Let me turn it on and we can play it.
How did you do that?
Maybe he's just smarter than everyone else.
And also, speaking of weird things, we come in and we're like, what the heck is this computer? And Norris is like, I can fix it. And then Harley's like, is there anything else you can download from the net or something? Like she knows all the lingo. And I was like, what the fuck, Harley?
I don't remember who I was using at that point, because I'm sure that the game has like different roles where it's like, okay, like someone's got to be the one typing on the computer. So, like, if you have these characters, like, this one will be the one typing on the computer, and this one will be the one not typing on the that.
I didn't have Norris in my party. Norris comes from nowhere if he's not in your party, and he's the one that does it.
Well, then maybe I already had Norris. Otherwise, I would have obviously noticed that.
I had Norris later, but not at that point.
Yeah, it's crazy, but I will say that as much as I love the Mode 7 graphics of Lavos coming in, seeing it in fucking pre-rendered 3D was pretty damn cool.
It was really dope.
With all the Lavos things. But before we find out anything juicy about it, the computer runs out of power. So we make our way to the next area, which is the Tower of Geddon, which is right in the center, and it looks real cool. It looks organic, even though it's like made out of metal and smushed together buildings and shit. It's real cool. The tower itself is a dungeon within a dungeon, and you fight your way through several weird blown up versions of real world locations, like a mall, a train station, a theater, etc. When you first get to the theater section, you see a little blonde girl in a white dress run off, but none of your party members see her. Then you continue into a dilapidated hangar where you see a little girl with purple hair run off, and again, no one sees her. In the next area, we see what happened to the Dragoons when they were here. They were apparently killed by whatever came through this big glowing portal. So we go through the big glowing portal, following a little boy with spiky red hair. And
those color combinations all seem familiar.
I can't place them. I'm not sure what you're talking about.
I actually really like how they are, honestly, like, they are small enough, and the CRT I'm playing on is CRT enough where, like, I do feel like if I didn't already know what it was, I probably wouldn't notice until, like, the second or third time. Because, like, it's a tiny cluster of pixels, right?
Yeah.
But then you see all three of them together, and you're like, oh.
Yeah. And because it's the Muppet Baby versions, it's not like literal Marle comes out and like does her little like jump animation we all know. It's some little girl in a white dress, and we never saw her in a dress type thing.
And they're all ghosts, and from what I remember, last time we saw the heroes of Chrono Trigger, I believe they were alive. So that's another reason why it doesn't...
well, technically, the last time we saw Luca, she was very much not alive, because we've seen her in this game already.
Yeah, that's true. I only knew, actually, who they were at first, because the IGN guide spoils it and says the ghost of Luca.
Yeah.
I'm like,
wow.
Oh, well, cool.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Cool.
I will say, Eli, you haven't noticed this, which is the point, and Sam, you haven't totally noticed either. But I've worded a lot of sentences very cleverly the last couple of weeks to not spoil things for you guys, and y'all need to appreciate it. Not just like when are we stopping, but like, where do I go next? And I'm like, okay, how do I word this in a way that won't spoil anything?
Yeah. But I'll look forward to listening to this series when we're all done with it, and I'll catch all of your spoilers. But, so the last place we go through on the other end of the glowing portal is so it's set up to be the Millennium Fair, but they wanted to squeeze in as if being in the Millennium Fair wasn't enough of a goddamn Chrono Trigger reference. The Intertron is there, so I guess it's the 2300 Eris Dome version of the
I think that's
Millennial
the idea.
Fair.
I think it's the futuristic, like, this is what Millennial Fair was actually like in the year 2300 or whatever.
Yeah. Though probably would be 1999. Kind of makes sense for it to be the next Millennial Fair, because it's not the Lean Bell, it's the Nadia Bell.
Oh, yeah.
So maybe that's what they were going for, was the 1999 version.
Cool. I mean, that is when Lavos happened, so.
Yeah, it makes sense. So, as we alluded to, the kids are, of course, Marle, Chrono, and Luca, and they tell us that they worked so hard to save the future, but that future is, quote, dead because Surge, quote, killed it. Then some dude named Miguel with big old dorky hat and like dorky overalls and dorky safari shorts comes out. He's the weirdest.
He's got Saitan Xenogears energy, but dorkier instead of cool.
Yeah, very dorky. But so he comes out and tells us that the Dead Sea is the time anomaly where all of the futures that we prevented from happening by stopping Lavos came to crash together. And so the kids are just from a future that doesn't exist anymore. We didn't actually kill them. He says that he is a friend of our father's, and 14 years ago, he crashed with our father in the Dead Sea. Our father's name is Wazuki, just in case it ever comes up again. I don't know if it will. But he mentions that the Dead Sea hasn't always been a time crash, but something happened 10 years ago to cause it. He's vague. We'll probably find out more later, or it'll just be hand-wavy. Surge and Lynx 10 years ago did all the things, and everything is our fault. He says that the future changes with every choice that we make, but we are also guided by fate, which seems mutually exclusive. But
I got real annoyed by that.
In this cutscene, I have a slightly different read on part of it. I believe that this isn't all the different futures. I think this is not correcting. This is like, it's vague, right?
Yeah,
but
it's very vague.
My read is, I think this is specifically the
1999.
The Lavos destroyed everything future, and ironically, he's mad at us for making this bad future no longer exist by not mad at us. He's mad at he's saying that Chrono and the heroes, by saving the day, made this future no longer exist. It's a doomed timeline. Now, why it's here in the year 1020 AD, well, I do know. Y'all will find that out later. But yeah. So I believe this is like I feel like it's almost like this the Dead Sea is like frozen in time at like the moment that Lavos destroyed everything or something like that. But also in this scene, it's kind of funny. It's very inconsistent, but in a cute way. He starts off by saying the word fate like normal, but then at one point he puts the word fate in quotes, and I'm like. I was really riffing in the stream. I was like, Miguel, when you say it like that, it makes it seem like you're talking about something besides just the abstract concept. And then a little while later, he uses fate not in quotes, but with a capital F. And I'm like, Miguel, you're really making me suspicious here. And then, like, at the very end of this sequence, he uses it he says fate in all caps. And I'm like, okay. Yeah. Okay, Miguel.
Can we make up our minds?
Okay, Miguel, you're really making me think you're not just talking about the idea of destiny here. I had a more elaborate read on what he's talking about here, but then a week passed and I forgot it. So anyway,
I still have more to go. Maybe it'll memorize you of stuff.
He actually likes this world because it's like outside of fate, because it is a doomed timeline. As I'm sure you're about to say, he's like, it's peaceful here, time isn't happening, I want the world to be like this. He starts saying shit that villains say. Like, at first he's like, oh, you're here, let me tell you the plot, and you're like, okay, this is just a guy. But then he says something like, I wish the whole world could be at peace, and you're like, that's something a villain would say.
Yeah. So he asks if we want to resign to our fate, and we can say yes or no, but it doesn't change anything. We have to fight him. I said no.
It was not no. It was refuse with 3 exclamation points,
which I love.
I love a good binary choice that like has character in it. It's my favorite thing that RPGs do.
I also picked refuse because it could have been a but thou must, but it also could have been like game over if you pick it, and I didn't want to replay anything, so I didn't risk it.
I picked refuse because the IGN guide said to. I have maybe a reason behind everything.
Yeah. If you say yes, your party members are like, "Are you kidding?" and you're like, never mind. And then Miguel, instead of being like, well, fuck you, then let's fight, he's like, well, no, if you kill me, you can save the Dead Sea, and we'll go with that. But so it's slightly different, but it is basically doesn't matter. But so we fight him. He's hard, as we already mentioned. 2 white bosses in a row. This made me kick Harle out of my party, which is fine because she's out of my party forever in like a minute. But after the fight, he says that we might be the ones who can defeat fate, all caps, and build a new future for humanity. He then basically sums up the plot of Chrono Trigger, and when they did so, a time crashed the bad futures here. Unfortunately, those bad futures also have Lavos in them. So because Surge something Lavos is still going to fuck up the world. Something. The Dead Sea is housing the frozen flame, but it doesn't want to awaken right now. So instead, it's going to throw itself into the dimensional void. So shit starts collapsing around us, which makes me think, okay, so scaring me with a Lavos doesn't matter because you're going to the dimensional void anyways. It kind of like just threw a lot at me, and I don't know how much of it is Masato Kato writing his own fan fiction and how much of it is going to be explained later.
Well, they're saying, like you said, Lavos scaring, don't come to the Dead Sea. Remember, there are 2 dimensions.
Yeah.
So our next goal is basically going to be go to the same place in the other dimension. So that's what he's saying. He's saying like, well, actually, it actually exists across dimensions. I think that the Dead Sea in the Sea of Eden / Dead Sea in either dimension, it's like when you enter that gate, when you pass through the gate of death or the pearly whatever, you're like it's the same place no matter what dimension you're in. It's like it exists across dimensions. It's like a little pocket dimension or something. I think that's what's going on. So when we go there later,
we'll see how it reads when we get there.
So when we go there later, it's different, but it's also it's different because it changed, not different because it's a different place. If that makes any sense.
Okay. Yeah, so shit starts collapsing around us, and we're like, no, what do we do? And then Dragon's like, Deus Ex Machina, and comes from nowhere and saves us.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so...
I don't think we've ever seen this dragon before, either.
We have...
Was it the black dragon?
I think it is, because he takes us to Marbule, so I think it was the sleepy black dragon.
We could have optionally seen the black dragon if we went to another world Marbule, which we had no reason to do that. He's just like chilling and sleeping in like a cave.
Okay.
So, but other than that, you're right. We haven't seen him.
Yeah. And so we're like, what the heck? And then we see the whole Dead Sea explode in a really cool FMV. Like, hella cool. It's like from the outside in, like all of the ice that's not ice, that's just frozen seawater, but also kind of acts like ice on one of the parts that looks like a blizzard. Starts to like crack in a cool spiral formation, and then when it gets to the middle, it like nukes up super anime style. It's a really cool ass FMV. But the Black Dragon takes us to Marbule, says that it's interested to see what we're going to do and if we'll bring about a new entity or not. Entity was mentioned in Chrono Trigger, and when I brought it up, like, this is a weird thing to say, Maddy freaked out, was like, holy shit, that's a Chrono Cross thing. Why did you say that? So I don't know why it's important, but when I saw the word entity, I'm like, oh, this is the thing that Maddy freaked out about 6 months ago.
This is not the thing I freaked out about. This is this particular use of the word entity, I think, is just using the generic word entity. The fact that it's the same as the Chrono Trigger word, I actually think is a coincidence because, entity is a word. What I'm saying is, that is specifically not the thing that I think about when I think about the Chrono Trigger entity re this game. So that's interesting because I, this time around, didn't even pick up on that. I didn't even think about that. Good catch, Sam.
Yeah. So we'll see if it's related. It's probably not.
Yeah.
So he also tells us that we need to get all 6 of the sleeping dragons' powers together to go to the Sea of Eden. I could end the episode right there because we spend the rest of the episode trying to figure out how to get to the Sea of Eden because we're apparently 3-year-olds who can't listen when people tell us what to do.
And the IGN guide is garbage.
Yes. Here's where the IGN guide made Eli do most of next week because
seriously?
Of reasons.
I didn't actually do it because I was like, that's not happening. I need help. And the IGN guide, like, it put all the stuff that's required in with a bunch of side quests. So I was like, no, do I have to go fight all these dragons in order to proceed? Because then it put all the dragons on its own page and...
I really think that y'all have been having a lot of trouble using a guide because I have not been using a guide at all, and I just do what the NPCs tell me to do, and it works. And
that's how I'm playing.
I think that the guide is actually making it worse because it's confusing.
Maybe, but I think I would get confused even without a guide because I'm dumb.
Yeah, this week I think the guide did you especially wrong because the NPCs literally it's fairly linear where they're like, hey, let's go to Termina. Hey, let's go to Viper Manor. Hey, let's go to the Hermit Hideaway, etc., etc. And so it's fairly linear through it, but there are a lot of side quests you can do. I didn't do a damn one.
I didn't even know there were, see?
Yeah.
Don't you not have your boat here, though?
You get your boat in just a second.
Okay.
But,
you do have a boat. I just couldn't find it.
Oh, see, I thought that for this particular part of the game, you don't have your boat anymore, so I was like, well, I guess I can't explore because I don't have my boat, so I guess I'll go to Termina.
Yeah, that was why I was so confused, because I was like, how am I supposed to go anywhere? when I don't have a fucking boat.
Yeah.
No, I've got one.
Oh, right. And this is the part where I forgot this. There is one little optional scene. You show up like right next to Arnie Village, and if you go in Arnie Village, it's empty.
Yep.
Everyone's been kidnapped.
I went there and I got a rainbow shell.
Oh, God damn it, I didn't.
Because remember that rainbow cell you keep trying to steal, and the lady is like, you can't take that.
Yeah.
So you can go and steal it because she won't.
Motherfucker.
My fucking rainbow shell now, bitch.
Good job.
You're not here to protect it. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
But we are getting slightly ahead of ourselves.
Yeah.
So so the dragon tells us to get all of the sleeping dragons together, and then somehow the dimensional distortion on Opasa Beach is working again and somehow our party members knew this from the other side of the thing when Harle said when we got there that like, oh, because you're Lynx and you belong in this world and Surge is Surge and he belongs in that world, that the dimension doesn't work anymore. But it's working now anyways, and it just kind of is the thing that happens. So
we're in another world now. So we're back where we're not supposed to be. So the dimensional vortex is open again.
No, but it's open. We're back in another world when we go through another world. We go through the dimensional distortion on Opasa Beach to get back to another world.
Oh, I thought we just got spat up there. Okay.
No, if we don't get spat up there, that would make sense. It probably would have me scratching my head a lot less.
Well,
but
a lot of weird nonsense happened in the Dead Sea, so time's all broken now.
Yeah, whatever. We go to another world, and in another world, one of Lynx's shadow cats is about to kill some kid, so we scare him off, and the kid tells us that there are monsters everywhere, and it's all Surge's army. So, good to know that Surge has been keeping a low profile in our body. Not doing anything we wouldn't do. But we make our way to Termina, and Poor's invaded as well. They have suspended all economic activity, including the bar, which all of the NPCs helpfully won't shut the fuck up about, so to clue us in to know that that's where the resistance is stationed. It's like every fucking guard is like, yeah, everything's closed, especially that bar right over there. Walk up those stairs, take a left, go in that door, check in the back corner. You won't find the resistance there, I promise, because we shut the bar down.
But don't go there, actually.
Yeah, don't actually go to the bar.
Yeah.
Because it's closed.
There's a lot of really cute side scenes you can do right here. One of which is if you're like me and you missed Greco, you can get Greco as Lynx, which I think is the only character you can do that for, which is really cool.
It is neat.
But so the resistance is of course led by Karsh and Zoa, because after we were flung to Van Gogh land, the Dragoons came to see what all the noise was about, and Surge just took Kid and teleported away. So the Dragoons saved Viper from actually dying, and they, for some reason, knew that this would be an important plot MacGuffin, gathered all of the shards of the Dragon Tear and brought it with them. But by the time that they returned to Viper Mana or Termina, Poor had already invaded and taken Rodil hostage, and that's where we come in. So we take one of them with us. I chose Karsh because I had Zappa in my party, and Zappa is his dad, and I wanted the lulz.
I think Zoa because he's hilarious, because he's enormous and he speaks in all caps. I like Zoa.
I love Zoa. But who did you pick, Eli?
I picked Zoa because, again, the IGN guide suggested it. But there was a good reason for it, because his level 7 tech is in there, and I can't figure out how to equip it, but I have it.
You have to level him up more. He doesn't have enough level 7 grids.
He's got a fucking space right there. I just have to take the thing off, and it won't let me do that. I can take it off, but it's still grayed out his tech, and it's there. Just let me use it.
You gotta hit a certain level on everybody.
Yeah, because the exact shape of your grid is 100% tied to your star level. So it's just like, you don't actually have level 7 grid yet.
So this is the point in the game where I switched my party up, and I took Zoa and Norris, because Norris is story important, and Zoa had his thing in there. This is also the first time I've renamed a character. I didn't actually rename Zoa. I put his name in all caps because I felt like it was necessary considering he yells everything.
Oh, what did I name?
So
I've been
good.
naming all my characters like Pokemon. I want to share my character names in our final episode because I think they're all very clever or at least funny, and my chat usually contributes. I actually forget Zoa's name, though I do know that my girlfriend came up with it, and it's stupid, and all caps. Well, I actually am renaming all my characters in all caps because that's like
That's
RPG.
the Pokemon thing to do.
Well, it's like video game naming convention, right?
Mm.
So, so I'm just like, oh, you're kid, now you're kid, right? Wait, now you're kid. But no,
That's
but,
a reference. That's a reference to last night's episode
yeah.
that we recorded.
But I did name Norris. Just I got it. I was like, what should I name him? I'm sitting there trying to think of a clever name, and then Bernard just yells Kaiba in the chat. So he's Kaiba.
Wow. I would have said Chuck.
Yeah.
But Kaiba is also good. Like,
Yeah.
it's so fucking random.
Yeah, I brought Karsh because of plot
He's
and
got Kaiba energy for sure.
And I brought Norris because the lulls. And everyone's like, how do we break into a poor compound? And Norris is just like, what if I just walked in?
Yeah.
Is that okay?
No, yeah. Some of
like
the best scenes in the whole game. I'm almost annoyed that you all brought Norris because I thought I was all clever. Like, oh, I'm going to bring Norris. That's funny. It's actually interesting because even though this game's all about dimensional travel, and even though the game has so many party members, it's shocking how little cross-pollination there is. Like, when I got to Termina, I was like, boy, I can't wait to bring people I already know to people. What's up?
Oh, I was going to say, like, I was confused because I didn't know that this was a different Norris from my Norris.
Oh, when I was at Termina, I was like, oh, I can't wait to take characters to go see other characters. And then I realized now, it's like, actually, I don't think any of the characters in my party, every single character in my party in this world, I have not met their this world version. Like, I haven't met them and I don't know where they are. Although I did get to meet Skelly, the Skelly who actually was in my party. He's hanging out with his grandma, and it's cute.
Oh, that's cool.
Aww.
Yep. But other than that, I was like, every other character I was going through them, I was like, nope, I haven't met that one, haven't met that one, haven't met that one, haven't met that one. Except for what's this?
Van and Zappa.
Van. Yes. So I decided not to go up to that part of the town just because I was streaming and didn't want to waste any more time. But I am planning on going and doing that later to see what happens.
Yeah, the van scene is really good.
I'm sure it is.
But, anywho, so we take one of them with us and we head off to the manor for a real small dungeon that I had already done last week to get the third revive. And this time there are bosses like a demon version of Orcha and Grobik, which is cyborg backwards, and a big ass bug. But basically the only important thing is that we meet Fargo, free him from prison, and we save Riddle or Riddell. I called her Videl when she joined my team.
I named her Riddle.
And after we save her, we get Korcha's boat for some reason. Don't know. It doesn't make a lot of sense. We just commandeer it. Korcha's probably like, because it was parked outside of Termina. He probably was like in Termina trying to buy something to take it back to Goldove, and now he doesn't have his boat, and he's freaking the fuck out because he stole it.
And he probably still thinks Lynx is bad, so he's like, curse you, Lynx, you've taken everything from me.
For me, Matcha gave me that boat.
Oh, okay. So you don't have to worry about how Korcha feels.
I don't fucking care about Korcha. Matcha fucking gave it. His mom gave it to me. That's my boat.
Well, I feel like it should be mentioned that in addition to all that shit happening, so this is a bunch of shenanigans. Basically, we just sneak in and save people. There's a lot of cutscenes, and a lot of them are actually very interesting and funny and have world building, but also it's like whatever. But there's also a million bosses, but not only does Matcha join our party after we defeat him being evil, but the cyborg Grobik also joins our party after we defeat him.
Yeah.
For being evil. Or he was evil and we defeat him. And, like, basically just like at this point, every single time a named character is a boss battle, I'm like, oh, they're going to join my party after I beat them, aren't they? Also, there's been a big boss monster who's been blocking a certain door in Viper Manor since the beginning of the game, and we finally fight him, and it's actually a really stupid scene because we run away, just like Sam was saying. We're running away from the monster, and it's like, run up the stairs, run to the top of the library where you can't escape. Anyway, it's all just dumb though. It's just nonsense. It's a bunch of bosses.
It's super dumb. The some of them will show up later in my memorable moments, but so we get Korcha's boat and we can go do side quests, which none of us did yet. So we instead go to a Hermit's Hideaway where we check on Videl and Viper, and while we're all resting, Link Surge comes dressed like an emo boy.
He's evil now.
Yeah, he's evil now, so he has to dress like a dominatrix. And,
that's how it works. It's in the rule book of evil.
Yeah. I mean, that's what happened with what's her face in Legend of Dragoon. She was all like chill and just some wingly chick, and then we get to the boss fight and she's dominatrix the fuck out.
I mean, if SpongeBob taught us anything, it's that every villain is lemons. So
yes. So Surge 6 a mind-controlled Kid on us. Kid is like, oh, you're Lynx, and I'm going to kill you and avenge Luca. And we're like, Kid knows that this is us. She would never say that. He's like, yeah, I mind-controlled her just to fuck with you.
Cool.
And
thanks. Love it.
And so Kid is about to fight us, and we're like, oh shit, we can't get away. But have no fear. The Deus Ex Machina dragons strike again, and this time
Deus Ex Machina 2.
Electric Boogaloo.
Dragon Boogaloo.
Yeah, so Fargo swoops in on Polly and saves us from certain doom and takes us to the Zelbess.
And remember, this is another world, so this Fargo is good and not an asshole.
Yes, this is our friend Fargo, the one we just saved from prison. But on the Zelbess, we regroup with everyone, and we say that since the frozen flame is in the Sea of Eden, that's where we're going to be headed. So we head out that way, and then every single named character from another world that we've met so far comes in to say that they're joining our team. It's like 1,500 of them back to back.
This scene had me in stitches. It's hysterical. Like, it goes on forever, and it's not even like they all joined your party at once. It's like you get a big scene and someone joins your party and you're like, cool, and then as you're about to leave, someone else is like, man, Surge, it's so, or Lynx, I can't believe blah blah blah, here's a sentence about my own personal life, I'm gonna join you, and then it fucking plays that they joined the party music again. And then you rename them. Because I'm renaming all my characters. The scene went on for like 15 minutes. I think it literally is 6 characters that join your party at this point in the game.
Yeah. Let's see. There's
There's 7 that join from the second you enter Viper Manor to here. That's what it is.
Yeah,
it's 7 or 8.
That's what it is. Yeah, it's ridiculous. But so we head over to the Sea of Eden, which thankfully we don't have to go and do a whole NPC dungeon to open. It's just open in this world. So we go out to it, and we are blocked because the Pearly Gates only open for the Chosen One, and Surge is the Chosen One, not Lynx. So since we're in the wrong body, it won't open for us. But we're going to break in by taking the 6 dragon MacGuffins to the homeworld Dead Sea and dimension hopping into it. But even if we did that, we would be kicked right back out again unless we get our body back. So to get our body back, we need the dragon tier. And we ask Harle, why did you tell us all of this? And can you tell us more? And instead she goes, well, if you had to choose between the world or me, which would you choose? I said I would choose her. What did you guys say?
I said I don't know. I'm indecisive.
I took a lot of trouble on this one, but I decided that my sweet boy would not lie to Harle, even because I respect her enough to not lie. So I told her that I would save the world, and she didn't take it well.
No.
She just said that's what I thought you would say, or something like that.
Yeah.
I forget what she said, but she didn't take it well.
So I lied to her, and she goes, "That's so sweet, even though it's a lie. Thank you for protecting my feelings." And it fades to black. And then it comes up on the Zelbes. And Eli, you probably didn't see this because you never went and got Starkey. But so Harle is crying on the deck, and Starkey comes down and is like, "Your eye holes are leaking fluids. Are you okay?" And it's this really cute "I'm an alien and I don't know anything" scene with Harle. Did you get anything at all there?
I saw her on the deck, and she was like, "Oh, well, this sucks. So bye, bitches," and then she just disappears.
Aww.
Okay, so she doesn't like straight up disappear for mine. It just fades to black again. But if you have Starkey, but that's cool. You keep getting the like weird versions that actually explain the plot a lot better, and it's like this game is designed so weird. There's so many things that you only can get if you 100%, and then there are other things that make more sense if you don't do 100%.
Yeah,
and it's cool.
Yeah, the Starkey scene is really sweet. They have a fucking moment. She explains how human emotions work, or demi-human emotions work, I guess, and says, I forget what she says. I didn't take a screenshot to this part, but you know, she gets heartbroken and she's sad. And yeah, it doesn't even say that she leaves your party, but she does.
Yeah. So we took a long time talking about Final Fantasy XIV, so we will real quick listen to some music, probably some Dead Sea music, and then we'll talk about the Children's Fun Fact Science Corner, where we will talk about the Dead Sea a lot. Okay, yeah. So as I mentioned before, the Highwayman's boss is named Kevin in Japanese, and he had just killed, potentially just maybe 2,300 years in the future ago, had killed Johnny's corpse, but Johnny's corpse is there. Also, the last line of Chrono Trigger DS, when you beat it, is an FMV that talks about how Guardia falls to poor in 1005 AD, and that the Masamune was returned to its rightful spot in the mountains. So when they go to get Masamune, that's actually some mainland Guardia that we get to see in the flashback scene with Radius. But unfortunately, they just reused the background of a location we go to later, so it's not really that obvious that that's Masamune's cave at all, but it is canonically, which is cool. But as we mentioned, there was the Intertron, and this was Nadia's Bell, or some Chrono Trigger references. Of course, the Muppet Babies of Marl, Luca, and Chrono. A less obvious Chrono Trigger reference, besides the one I mentioned earlier, where you had to watch a cutscene in real time while you could move around, is jumping like a badass through the stained glass in the library.
Yeah, that whole dumb scene was just contrived so that you can jump through some stained glass and do the Chrono Trigger thing. It was great.
Yeah, it's so good. But that's about it, because this scene, this chunk of the game is in its entirety a Chrono Trigger reference, so there's not a lot of like obscure ones that there's a lot more in the text.
Yeah,
but exactly. The big two were the wait here, I'll be right back, and you get to walk around and do whatever you want while he actually waits and comes back, and then the stained glass thing. Some densities of this week is you can take Draggy to the corpse of his mother in Fossil Valley, because if you remember, you probably don't, it was the first thing we ever did in the game, is you go and you investigate an egg that's inside of a dragon bone, and that's the one that we hatched to make Draggy. So you take Draggy to his mother's corpse, and it's a really fucking sad scene, but you get his level 7 tech out of it. So
hell yeah. I haven't even hatched Draggy yet.
But if you take Zoa to Viper Manor, you can get his tech from his chest that he was protecting before.
Oh, god damn it, I didn't think to do that.
Yeah, that was the whole reason I picked up Zoa, was so I could go hit his chest.
Without having to do the dungeon twice.
Yeah, exactly.
You also get a whole bunch of great scenes and dialogues, if depending on your party comp this week. We already mentioned the Norris in your party for the Viper Manor section, but you get a great scene between Zappa and Karsh, which I don't know if you went and got Zappa in Homeworld, but he turns off his Eternal Flame Forge because he's giving up on doing it because he has to go and find his son.
Yeah.
So you go and you see Karsh, and you have Zappa in your party, and he's like, "My boy, it's great to see you." And Karsh is like, "What's up, Dad?" And he's like, "You should really go see your mother." And he's like, "Okay, I have no idea what the fuck you're talking about, but I guess I'll do that later." And it's really cute.
That is really funny. I love that.
And then if you have Radius in your party for the Hermit's hideaway section, they do this really cute, like, testing each other's skill to make sure that they're not doppelgangers of each other. They're like the actual thing, and they do like a spar, and they laugh like Master Roshis, and it's really cute. And the Van scene, Van is really disappointed in himself for being a piece of shit in another world, and it's a real good scene as well. But that's most of the density corner. I'm sure there was something else that I mentioned, because this game until this week liked to be real subtle with its Chrono Trigger references, and so I probably missed some subtle ones because I was looking at all of the very obvious ones. But yeah, so now we will listen to some more music. I sped through this, but we will listen to some more music and then make our way into the memorable moments. So I went first last night, and even though it was a different series, I feel weird for going first twice. So what does somebody else have?
I just have one memorable moment.
Okay.
Well, one important one. I really liked that the battle music did not come up for Miguel's fight.
Mm-hmm.
I always feel that a scene is more significant when, like, you know, you've got the sad background music, and then you have to go into a fight with someone, and like it makes that fight heavier if that same sad background music is still playing.
Yep, it's a great. That was one of my moments. It's a great technique.
Yeah. It feels so much more significant, and it gave so much more weight to it, because, like, the IGN guide is just like, yeah, you're gonna refuse Miguel, and then he's gonna fight you, and I'm like, oh, okay, but it felt so much heavier and more important that, like, the way that it happened, and the feelings that the music evoked, and like it didn't feel like a battle. It felt like a struggle.
Yeah. It's a good, and the graphics in that scene are beautiful.
Yeah, they really are.
Both the pre-rendered and when you're in battle, everything's just completely. When you're in the battle, you can see the bell, like Lean's bell, is on the battlefield, and out in the distance, everything's just soaked in like sunset tones. It's gorgeous.
I've been pretty impressed with some of the graphics in this game because I am of the belief that PS1 looks like garbage. And I think that they've done a pretty good job with it.
Yeah.
I think
this was a very late PS. This might be the last major Square PS1 game, actually.
Okay.
I did it come out after Final Fantasy IX?
Yep.
Because Final Fantasy IX came out like 6 months before Final Fantasy X, and Final Fantasy IX launched after the PS2 came out.
FF9 was 99.
I didn't know Final Fantasy IX
FF9 was 99 in Japan, right? Well, anyway, this was 2000 in the US and late 99 in Japan.
Early 3D graphics do not look good. I think the N64 looks like garbage as well. And I love N64. Majora's Mask is one of my favorite Zelda games. It looks like crap.
Oh wow, no, you're right. FF9 came out after Chrono Cross. Anyway, obviously FF9 also looks amazing. So
yeah, FF9 is hella fucking beautiful.
Yeah, they were clearly at the point where they had gotten the hang of this sort of thing. So.
Yeah, and the like everything inside of the Dead Sea, you see this like crazy geometry in a pre-rendered, and you're like, oh, they're just doing this in pre-rendered. This isn't something they could do in engine. And then you get into a battle, and it's the literal exact thing you were just looking at, but done in 3D, and it's real good. They do that the whole way through there, and it's great. Because this game does a lot of things where they will build your battle area around like the specific room that you're in, instead of just, oh, we're in a cave, so we'll throw up the cave background type thing. And they do that a lot here, and it's really cool, and I like it. Did you have any more, Eli?
That was basically the only one. I like Zoa a lot. I just like how he yells everything.
Me too.
I don't know why, it just makes me laugh every time I see him talk.
What about you, Maddy? Did you have any?
I had just 3, and they're also more like fun facts that might be interesting to know as well. During the brief portion where you're still in you're still in Homeworld after all the Dead Sea stuff, after Marbule, you can actually go back to the Dead Sea, and it's actually quite interesting the way it works. If you click on the Death's Door with your with your speedboat that you're in, you don't even go through Death's Door because the whole place is flooded. So if you click on Death's Door, you're just now in the Dead Sea, so you don't go through that tunnel. I think the idea is that you pilot your boat through the tunnel. And then the Dead Sea itself, it's still got its own special map, but it's just a huge sea. It's just an ocean. And
that's cool.
You can pilot it around, and it plays beautiful music. And also there's like a couple big rocks coming out of the ground, and then there's these 3 big areas where there's like light coming from underneath the ocean, and if you approach them, it's like, what do you use this for? We don't know what this is for. What's this light? We're gonna be going back there next time to use our special items on the light. This is how we get to the Dead Sea, to Sea of Eden. But you can do that right away if you feel like it. But the specific idea that they took out the Death's Door area to imply that you just go directly from outside of Dead Sea into inside of it via boat, I think it's really cute. My second thing is, there's actually a scene that you missed, Sam. I actually forgot about it until just now as well, but it's not that important. But after all the stuff at the Hermit's Hideaway, when you're on the Zelbess? Yeah, when you're on the Zelbess, Surge, or as Lynx, has a scene where he's like on the deck, and it's basically just a the game plays a bunch of FMVs of Kid and lines. So basically, he's just remembering Kid and feeling sad because he misses Kid and wants her back. Basically, it's like having a sad time thinking about his friend, right? But during that, and I don't really remember, there's not a lot. It's just a little emotional scene. But during that scene, it plays a beautiful piece of music, including a vocal sample. And the reason I bring it up is because that is actually Kid's theme. That's the first appearance of Kid's theme in the game. And
I had a feeling that was probably the case.
Yeah, and I think that that's a fantastic piece of music, so I thought I'd mention the first appearance of a very thematically important piece of music that will definitely show up more later. Also, it's one of the themes that is from Radical Dreamer, and it's beautiful in that game, too. Actually, nice. I think I might prefer the Radical Dreamers version of the song better. They're both really good. Radical Dreamers OST is about as good as this game's. Some tracks I like more, some tracks I like less. Let's see. And then finally, the Dead Sea has lots of really unique and interesting enemies, but the one that I really liked was also the most annoying and frustrating. There's these, when you're in the theater, the destroyed theater. Also, sorry, I have to mention this because it might actually be important. I don't know if it's important. When you're in the theater, there is a stage, and on the stage, there's a sword thrust into a stone. And you can get it. It's a prop sword, and it's a unique, usable key item. Did y'all find any use for that this week?
The only person who has use for that is you. It's not just a usable item. When you get Pierre, he can equip it.
Oh,
that's his mass immune.
See, because the thing is, because it's a key item, I thought it was part of some puzzle, so I was trying to do all kinds of shit with it, right? Like, oh, what if I did this with it? But what's cute and weird is that the sword looks exactly like the Master Sword from Zelda.
Yeah.
And the stage you're on, the pedestal and the forest, I think they're low-key implying that this was like a theater production of The Legend of Zelda. Like, I legitimately think it's a funny little developer reference to another video game.
That's cool.
Because like it looks exactly like the Master Sword. So that's weird. That's not what I was going to say, but I wanted to bring it up in case, because I wanted to know what that item was for, right? The thing I was going to say is when you're in that room, there's these enemies that are like ghostly dancers, like literally they're like ball dancers that are also freaky like ghosts. I really love their animation and their models. They're really beautiful and cool and really scary and creepy. They're also extremely annoying in combat. They're all little girls, and they all come up and they say, "Hi, my name's Julie. I'm a Libra, and for my birthday, I want fire," or something like that. And then they use a fire spell on you. The problem is they have a higher speed than your party does, so if you start a battle, you have to wait for them to do all of this, and it takes forever. I just realized those were all spells that I could have used the capture elements on. Damn it, I forgot to do that. That would have been a very smart thing to do if I was a smart person. But anyway, annoyance aside, I really like those enemies. I avoided them after the first time.
Yeah, me too. So the only one that I had besides, so I skipped over it because it was not important at all to the plot, but Viper Manor is a whole lot of fun. I really enjoyed that part of it. It's just in the interest of time.
Yeah.
It's not important at all. But especially the fight scene between Cyborg and the bigger robot that happens while you jump out of the thingy doesn't take place in like a battle scene. It's just them duking it out on the pre-rendered background and like swinging on the chandelier and shit.
And those are all
so
bespoke
cool
animations. Like, we're not going to see that animation the rest of the game.
No, but it's great. Love it. My other one is when you save the little boy from the cats. He goes, "Boy, I'm in a major fix." And fixes in all caps, and it just as a line is just so good.
I do have to say one more that I forgot to say. When I did with Hyper Manor, it's very short. When you actually meet up with Norris or Kaiba in this world, because it's interesting. Even though he's like a bad guy, it's implied that he's the one bad guy who like feels bad about what they're doing. You know, that whole trope. So you meet him, but I had Norris in my party, and basically the other Norris is like, "Oh, hi, I'm so glad to see." Wait, what the fuck? He doesn't actually curse, but that's what. And then the other Norris just goes, "Let's just say I am another you and leave it at that." And like that's it. He's just like, you know what? Fine. But then the two Norrises, whatever part of the game's code is this, they're the two ones having the conversation. Like, it's not the other party member. Like, the two Norrises have this entire conversation, and they look identical. So the only way to tell which one's which is the positioning of the text box. The text box moves up and down to show who's talking. It's really funny.
Did you not notice the portraits are flipped in Homeworld and Another World? So
I would have expected that, but I didn't notice that. Huh.
Yeah. Because I noticed, because he has that emo hair flip, and so that flip goes to the other side.
But that scene was a hoot and a holler.
Yeah. But I just remembered that I did take a lot more screenshots, but they're on my Vita, and it's in another room, and we've already gone on long enough. Let's just call it. And so if you like what you heard this week, you can stick around, and we'll have a lot more of these episodes. But you can find us on the web at www.rpgbook.club, where it has links to all of our socials and a link to our Ko-fi, as I've learned, is how it's pronounced, and I don't like it.
Apparently.
It's Ko-fi. I don't like it.
I don't like it either.
Bernard had to ruin it. But so it's ko-fi.com/rpgbookclub, where you can donate to us monetarily, help us keep the lights on, and all of that jazz. And now is a great time to do it, because in 1 week's time we will be putting up the next vote on our next game. We just have to decide what we want you to vote between.
We've got two great ideas, and have been putting off making a decision which one we want to go with, because we like them both too much.
Yeah. So we will force ourselves to make that decision this week, and you guys will then make another decision if you support us on the Ko-fi. So that's great to do that. Otherwise, just come hang out on the Discord. Our Discord is where all of our friends are. Yep. It's basically the only social media I use at all anymore. Yep. So if you want a direct access to talk to me for some fucking reason, that's how you can do it. But other than that, I
gotta tell people where we're playing.
Oh yeah, that is an important thing.
So for next
week,
I forgot last week. So as y'all heard, our goal now is to get the 6 MacGuffins, or to talk to the 6 dragons. So what we're going to do is, this is all open-ended, and doing all 6 of them and doing Viper Manor or doing Fort Dragonia would just be too much, so we're cutting it in half arbitrarily. So I'm just going to go off of this fucking FAQ, who cares? Let's do Earth Dragon, Water Dragon, and Fire Dragon. Okay? Earth.
Cool.
That's literally going to Earth Dragon Isle, Water Dragon Isle, and if you recall, Mount Pyre is where the Fire Dragon is. Let's just do those 3, and also we're going to cap it off. The last thing we're going to do, I mean, you can do any order you want, but the last thing that we're probably going to do to talk about is we're going to do the Save Marbule quest. It's a major side quest, and this is a great time to do it. So do 3 dragons, save Marbule. That's it. Lightweight week. We'll do the rest of them next time.
Dope. So, that will do it for the week. For RPG Book Club, I have been Sam Ullman.
I'm Elias Saley, Eli Warren.
And I'm still Maddy Baseweb.
Toodaloo, folks.
Be excellent to each other.
And party on,
Party on, dudes.